bell's about to chime. Turnbuckle talk, we're here to shine. Flagship on the airwaves, leading the pack. Breaking news reviews, we've got your back. From the squared circle to the backstage news, we bring stories that you can't refuse. Turnbuckle talk, the voice of the fight. Every slam, every suplex, every highlight. Tune in weekly, don't miss a beat. For the latest in wrestling, we bring the heat. From AEW to WWE, we cover it all from A to Z. Interviews, insights, and match reviews. If it's wrestling news, we got the clues. From the squared circle to the backstage news, we bring stories that you can't refuse. Turnbuckle talk, the voice of the fight. Every slam, every suplex, every highlight. Tune in weekly, don't miss a beat. For the latest in wrestling, we bring the heat.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday night. It is 8:05. It is time for some Turnbuckle talk. Hustle, loyalty, respect forever. We are talking this week the entire career of the one and only John Cena. It is Chris Best alongside OMD. OMD, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very, very well today, my brother. Thank you for asking. Another quiet day at work. And tonight, we're changing it up a little bit because normally we're discussing a bunch of news. Tonight, no news, nothing but love, honor, and respect.
Yeah, and let's dive right into it. Let's dive right into 2002, John Cena's debut. And take a look at the John Cena we got there. His first match, Kurt Angle. That promo that Kurt Angle cut where he laid out an open challenge to anybody in the locker room. And this was
Yep.
the moment that kickstarted the ruthless aggression era, especially when John Cena showed up and Kurt Angle just kind of berated him a little bit, and then he's like, "What makes you think you can take on me?" or something like that. And John Cena just tensed up. He's really tensed up, and he goes, "Ruthless aggression," and he slaps the taste out of Kurt Angle.
Yep. I was actually watching a video clip of that moment today as Kurt Angle was in the ring laying it out and the music hit. And you could hear Michael Cole saying, "Wait, I know this kid. That's John Cena, up and comer from OVW."
But what do you remember watching it live that night? Because I remember thinking, like, when John Cena came out, I'm like, okay, here's a kid who looks great, but Kurt Angle's going to have his way with him.
Yeah, I was literally looking at it. And I mean, it was the way that whole Kurt Angle Open Challenge went.
Yeah.
So I was expecting that full domination, the squash match. But I was impressed.
Yeah, what we got was John Cena nearly beating Kurt Angle in that match.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle did walk away with the win, but it became so impressive. He became so impressive that he immediately got signed to the main roster on SmackDown and immediately found himself in a feud with Chris Jericho, which would lead to them having a match at Vengeance in 2002. And if I remember correctly, that feud was Chris Jericho being like, okay, if Kurt Angle can beat this kid, I can beat this kid. And John Cena ended up taking the win in that one.
Right. I don't remember a whole lot of that rivalry, but maybe it's because, again, I was looking at it as, okay, we've got this young up-and-coming kid who's still, looking pretty generic, as we can see here with the tights and all of that. This was before he was able to go and find his identity. I've actually seen some other clips as well of him doing, Velocity and Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah.
At this time, as opposed to just working strictly SmackDown.
Yeah, because around it was pretty much after the Jericho feud where they were like, we don't know what to do with this guy, and he kind of floundered around for a little bit, wrestling on Velocity, as you had mentioned, and all that. But then this happened.
Yes.
The
Yes.
the Halloween episode of SmackDown that year, we saw John Cena dress up like Vanilla Ice, as we're looking at here in this picture, and rap a few bars to Stephanie McMahon.
Yep.
And it was off to the races with John Cena and the basic thugonomics gimmick.
Yeah. And I remember listening to an interview directly from John Cena where he explained, like, he was sitting on the back of the bus with guys like Ray and Rikishi and freestyling there because he was floundering. And Stephanie came up to him and said, can you do something like about a can of tuna? And he went into a freestyle about that. And she was like, well, let's make this your gimmick. Can you bring that to TV each and every week?
Yeah. And he did. Unfortunately, he did get saddled with, and I shouldn't say unfortunately, but he did get paired up with Bull Buchanan, who was working under the name B Squared at the time.
Yep.
And that didn't really go anywhere for John Cena to a degree. But John Cena, we started seeing we started seeing the star in John Cena being made, and I noticed it. I want to say the 2003 Royal Rumble, where he wrapped his entire way to the ring, and then he put on a fairly decent, impressive performance in that matchup. He didn't last too long. It was maybe 15, 20 minutes in the ring, but he did what he could do, and he made people sit up and take notice, and that's what happened all throughout 2003, especially when he would get his first major feud in 2003, going into Vengeance against The Undertaker.
Yeah, and again, I don't remember this match.
But do you remember the pentagram promo?
No.
You don't remember John Cena standing in the middle of a pentagram and just berating The Undertaker, and damn, it was so good.
Nope, I don't remember any of that.
Yeah. It was, you gotta look it up on YouTube because it was fantastic. And this was the year that we started to see John Cena become that star, because after The Undertaker, he would go on and feud with Brock Lesnar. And the feuds would just keep piling on until we got to 2004, when we were like, okay, we're ready for him to win a championship. And that happened at WrestleMania 20, SummerSlam, at WrestleMania 20, where he defeated the Big Show, who, by the way, when he carried that US title, it looked like a wristwatch on him.
Right.
But when he beat Big Show in the opening match at WrestleMania 20, mind you,
yes,
the crowd like blew up.
Yeah. It's funny because I do remember the way he ended his rap on the Big Show coming into the ring.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into it because it was very, very graphic in his words.
Yeah, he, if I remember correctly, he said choke on, and then he threw a bag of peanuts at him. If I'm not mistaken.
No, he was going to beat him like a something with something.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it like
another
that.
promo, because the feud between him and Show did continue after this for a little bit.
Yes, it did.
All throughout 2004, we're talking about John Cena here, and all throughout 2004, we saw basically him wanting to continue to go after. Whoops, I changed up the image. That's for later on in the story. But we did see him continue flourishing in the U.S. title picture for the better part of the year. And at SummerSlam 04, I got to be there. We saw him and Booker T begin their 5-match saga, I guess you could say, to determine who the United States champion was, in which,
right.
What I remember from that night, the crowd was just so into John Cena.
Right. I had seen John at a house show.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if that was '04, just a few hours away. I can't remember if it was '04 or a couple of years later.
Well, there was a house show in like I want to say June of '04 that took place a couple of hours away. And the
That
one
was
thing I remember about that was Mr. Business telling me that Rey Mysterio changed the 619 for one night to the 705.
Ray wasn't on the card that I was at. I don't think. But it was July 4th. And it was the SmackDown Red, White, and Bruised tour.
Then Ray definitely would have been on that show because Ray was on SmackDown in '04.
But Ray may have been injured.
That's possible, but regardless, he would continue on with this United States title run and change the title to the long forgotten United States Spinner title.
Yes.
And I say long forgotten because there's a lot of people who've grown up with John Cena with the WWE title as the Spinner title, but this guy's was the original Spinner title.
Yes, it was. And again, for me, like, I know that John Cena is all about the freestyle, hip hop, all of that. Not my scene. So I was just like, oh dear Lord, what have they done with this? Now, brilliant from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, it just brought John Cena even further into the limelight. And I don't remember what sales were like for that particular title, but I can guarantee you there were kids carrying that belt around.
Yeah.
Mm.
And really that as well, like when he was the US champion, that first reign was really when we noticed him start to work with others and really start looking to put people over. Because I do remember his feud with a debuting Carlito,
In which Carlito would take the title from him.
Yes.
And John Cena would officially move on to the 2005 Royal Rumble, where he and Batista would end up in the final two. And Batista would end up taking the win. But that didn't mean that John Cena was out of the title picture, because at WrestleMania 21, and this is the famous photo from WrestleMania 21, where he won the title from JBL in what
Yes.
was one of JBL's best matches, my personal opinion.
Oh, 100%. And I am a huge, huge JBL guy.
Mm-hmm. And this feud with JBL, dang, did it get bloody.
It got bloody, it got personal, it got every which way but loose.
Yeah, because I can't remember which show it was, but they had an I Quit match before John Cena would get drafted over to Raw. And it got so bloody to the point where JBL was like, okay, I've had enough, I quit. And you can just see the crimson mask on both those men in that match. It was an I Quit match they had. But I can't remember which pay-per-view it was at.
I want to say No Mercy, but it could have very well been in Extreme Rules.
Extreme Rules didn't exist yet. It might have been Vengeance, because Vengeance was early around that year, because I think that was around the same time Batista defended his world heavyweight title against Triple H inside Hell in a Cell.
Right.
But then we would see John Cena go over to Raw and start himself a massive feud with Chris Jericho throughout the summer of 2005, which ultimately led to Chris Jericho's first time departing the WWE.
Yes, and I remember this because it was on the highlight reel with Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, come on down, the number one draft pick, and the suspense built. Even though it only felt like about 30 seconds, maybe 40. And John's music hit, you can see the elation on Jericho's face. And I remember them getting through the highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
and there was no issues. I know it was after the main event that night, which I believe was Christian and John Cena.
Yeah.
And then Jericho laid out the attack.
Yeah. And here's the thing about that highlight reel, Chris Jericho legitimately did not know it was John Cena.
Oh, I know.
He legitimately, like, that's that look of surprise on his face was legit when they cut to it. And all they told him was like, this gentleman that's coming out, this is going to be your feud for the summer of 2005. That's all they told him. So like when they told him that he was going up against, when he found out it was going to be Cena, yeah, that was the great way for Jericho to go out,
Yeah.
because Jericho, as we had said, had left in 2005. His music career was starting to take off. He wanted to go and focus a little bit more on that. John Cena, on the other hand, I mean, that was the perfect way to go out, was take a loss and give that reign to John Cena, where John Cena would continue to have a dominant 2005,
Yes.
going into Survivor Series and all that. He didn't have a title match at Survivor Series. He was a part of one of the Survivor Series matches. But we now move into 2006.
Well, I do want to touch, because you did touch on Chris Jericho's music. John Cena in the year of 2005 also dropped an album.
Yeah, he did.
And believe it or not, I used to own it.
So did I.
And I actually thought it was a fantastic album. And not just Bad Man. Chain Gang is the Click was a great tune.
There was a slow tune he had on there that I actually really enjoyed. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember just enjoying the album and like hearing like the lyrics that John Cena was doing. I'm like, is this album really for kids?
Right?
And it really wasn't, because he
No.
he was doing the gangster rap type of sound. But anyways, we move on to 2006, where we forgot to mention a wrestler who was on the rise in 2005 as well. The man who won Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 21 on that same night would cash in on John Cena to begin possibly John Cena's biggest feud of 2006. I'm talking about the rated R superstar Edge.
Yes.
And
And
I know I'm showing a picture of him at Unforgiven losing, but it started with Edge cashing in on John Cena after John Cena had wrestled a grueling Elimination Chamber match.
yes. I don't think this was just John Cena's biggest rivalry of 2006.
Mm-hmm.
This was John Cena's 100% pure biggest rivalry.
Right, because not only did they have the match at New Year's Revolution, but then a few weeks later they would wrestle again at the Royal Rumble, in which John Cena would reclaim the title.
Yep.
They would splinter off and separate from one another for a little bit, but then they would come back together after Edge was done his feud with Mick Foley, who would
Yep.
then move into a feud with I think it was Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk, I think, because him and Foley would form that tag team. Edge and Foley would.
Yep.
John Cena would move into the feud with RVD afterwards. And then it was the summer of 06 where everything just exploded between these two men. And I'm talking like just nonstop violence between these two men.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, I loved it. Like, I am an Edge head. I was a huge fan of him. Not just the fact that he was from Toronto, but just his style, the way he carried himself,
mhm.
the poise. So, I mean, you had those perfect promos. The thing that I didn't like about this era was this was the time when you were getting those belts traded back and forth every 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks. You wouldn't get an established run with anybody.
Until Edge won the title. Because he would win the title not long after John Cena got it. I forget how Edge won the... Oh, he beat RVD for the title.
Yes.
He beat RVD for the title in like June after RVD was... RVD had his legal troubles at that time.
Yeah.
And he would hold it for until September again, Unforgiven 06. One of the things that I liked about this feud was that their last two matches in this feud were in each other's hometowns.
Yes.
SummerSlam 06 was in Boston, in which Edge was victorious over John Cena. Unforgiven 06, and I can vouch for this because I was there, was in Toronto. This was just unbelievable, this feud, and we're gonna do a little bit of comparison here because John Cena was booed out of the building that night.
Right.
Edge was cheered like he was a god that night.
Yeah.
But we're gonna take a commercial break and we're gonna come back with your experience, OMD, with John Cena at WrestleMania 23.
Sounds good.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thursday we go TNA when we brace for Impact at 7:55 p.m. Eastern. Friday we secure all details as we answer the call for the SmackDown security detail at 8 p.m. Eastern. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at a match there. Shawn Michaels versus John Cena, Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. But I digress. If you've ever wanted your break in podcasting, content creation, potential collaboration, or to help us out behind the scenes, turnbucklestudios.org is the place to be for all your Turnbuckle affiliation program needs. Meet the team, Chris Best, myself, Bubba Duke, Carl Carafel, and Chris Parrish. Get all of our socials. Watch our latest weekly live episodic shows. Hit the shop button to go to carlcarafel.redbubble.com. Buy the merch, support your favorite shows, support your favorite podcasters. All of those proceeds come back into our studios to deliver you a better experience. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress this enough. Hit that join button. Send us your credentials. Tell us how you feel you can help us, how we can help you, and we will sit down as a collective and figure it out together. Turnbucklestudios.org for all your Turnbuckle affiliation program needs.
But yeah, as you were saying, we are looking at an image of Shawn Michaels performing the Asai moonsault onto John Cena at WrestleMania 23. And as I said before the break here, John Cena was booed out of the building at my event, but several months later, he would be featured in quite possibly one of the more higher profile main events that he's ever had against Shawn Michaels. And what was the crowd like that night from what you can remember?
Very, very pro Cena. This was really one of the first times we had a true babyface versus babyface for the championship.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me personally, I was at that point where it was let's go Cena, Cena sucks. And me being a Shawn Michaels guy, I was going nuts for HBK. Crowd, if I remember correctly, was very, very split for both because you had, of course, the John Cena fans who were anti-Shawn Michaels. You had the Shawn Michaels fans who were anti-Cena.
Yeah.
The year before, Cena had faced Triple H at WrestleMania, so Triple H was injured this year. I believe he was initially supposed to have that spot. But, ladies and gentlemen,
I can't recall.
these two tore the house down. And I can't remember. I will have to go back and rewatch WrestleMania 23 on Netflix. I can't remember if they went before or if they followed The Undertaker and Batista.
They followed. Taker and Batista was like in the middle of the show.
Okay.
Sean and Cena closed out the show.
Okay. So this was also part of a huge triple main event that night.
Right.
Because we also had Umaga versus Lashley in the Battle of the Billionaires, Trump versus McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was surreal. And although we didn't get to meet John Cena at any of the events, my girlfriend at the time and we had bought the travel package. So we had a lot of different exclusive events to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But to be there, and this was back when WrestleMania was one night only. So, you still had a lot to do in the day. But like the atmosphere, it was just electric. If I remember correctly, though, it was very, very split, and we did not have bad seats. So,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had pulled up some of my picks, but of course I was at work.
Yeah, to just put it into context for anybody who hasn't experienced John Cena live. I myself have experienced John Cena in 3 different eras, essentially. I saw John Cena in 04, just as he was getting his rise, as you have too, OMD. We both saw John Cena at the height of his rise. And I saw John Cena on the downturn of his rise around 2010, 2011-ish. And then all 3 of those were just completely different crowds for me. Like 2004, we were firmly behind Cena. We wanted to see Cena get into that upper echelon. 2006, we did not want John Cena beating our homeboy Edge.
Right.
But in 2010, at the house show I went to, John Cena was just cheered and loved, and wow. And I went into that building that night wanting to boo Cena, but I got sucked up in the crowd, and that's what John Cena can do. He gets you so emotionally involved that you end up cheering for the guy you hate.
Right. I can't remember. I don't believe he was on the house show I was at in Hamilton, and I believe that was 2010. A friend of mine and I drove, after he worked night shift, we drove from here to Hamilton to go down, take his 10-year-old to a house show, and then drove right back.
It's actually interesting you mentioned that, because that year, we were looking for house shows to go to, my family and I. We settled on 3 of them. There was the one in Hamilton that you had mentioned. There was one in Peterborough that same weekend, and the one in Barrie, Ontario. And we chose the one in Barrie for some reason.
Right. But we chose, we did Hamilton just because it was close. It was part of Edge's farewell tour.
That would have been 2011 then. Because Edge retired in 2011. But let's move on. Let's move on to the darkest point in John Cena's career. At least what I thought was his darkest point. And that was when he unfortunately got injured with the torn pectoral muscle that we thought he was going to be gone for 1 year. And in retrospect, I would not have cheered this moment, but back then I was kind of a mark for this. And I'm like, thank God, no John Cena for 1 year. I will flat out admit that I thought that. And it was mostly because there was a time as us older fans were thinking, we were tired of John Cena constantly winning the championship.
Yeah.
So to see John without a championship for the year, it sucked at the same time, but we thought it was cool at the same time.
We did. Because as you mentioned, we were looking forward to it because you've got this guy who has been on top, and everybody talks, now about, how they pushed Roman Reigns, how they pushed Brock Lesnar. That's what we were dealing with John Cena back then. So for him to be gone for a year, only to dramatically return just a few months into his rehab, I was really hoping when he returned that he was not going to win the Rumble that year.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you sort of knew that, okay, if he's returning, he's winning.
Yeah, the moment the countdown for number 30 happened, and I heard the trumpets that start off his theme, because my heart was set on Triple H winning. Triple H was dominating that Rumble when Cena showed up.
Mm-hmm.
My heart sunk, not gonna lie. But as soon as John got into that ring and started like just mixing it up with everyone, I was blown away by his performance in that 10, 15, 20 minutes that he had in the ring.
Yeah, because you're looking at a guy who's just had his pec surgically repaired. Now, I mean, to his credit, and he's gone on record and said this, I was rehabbing 2 to 3 times a day. I was in physio 4 times a week. I'd take 1 day off a week. So he was putting in the work to get himself back.
Yeah, and this led to John Cena having a fairly decent run in 2008, not quite winning the championship at WrestleMania 24. Randy Orton was successful in retaining the title in that triple threat match that they had. But it did, however, lead to quite possibly another big feud for one John Cena. And this actually surprised me that I thought that they had matches beforehand, but no, John Cena and Batista for the first time ever had a match at SummerSlam 2008. And this again was the starting of the turning point for me, where I started becoming a fan of John again.
Right. And
Because
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they were also the tag team champions at that time.
they were, and going into WrestleMania 23, Shawn Michaels and John Cena were the tag team champions. But this match, this was a match that and I can vouch for this because I remember seeing kids arguing about this. This was the match that like kids in the playground would argue over who would win in a match, John Cena or Batista.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, Batista walked away with the win in this one.
I don't remember. I remember not being overly enthused for this because for me, Batista had reached that polarizing level as well.
Uh-huh.
So I was just like, okay, so we've got let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Batista is that next guy that is just being forced down our throats as this dominant force.
Right.
And I was just, no, I can do without this match. We knew it had to happen, but it was not something that I was looking forward to.
Yeah. We're going to take ourselves another commercial break here, but after that, we're going to move straight. We're going to skip over 2009, 2010, because John Cena's career started to quiet down around then. We're going to move right into 2011 with quite possibly the biggest feud of the summer again. So take a look at this ad, guys.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, turnbucklestudios.org is the place to be for all your Turnbuckle affiliation program needs. Hit that join button, send us your credentials, tell us how you can help us, how we can help you. We can sit down as a collective. Meet the team, the people you'll be working with. Under the host section, Mr. Best, myself, Bubba Duke, Chris Parrish, and Carl Carafel. Watch our latest weekly live episodic shows. get our socials. You can also go to turnbucklestudios.org by scanning the QR code in the upper left-hand corner. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, of course, hit that shop button, buy the merch, support your favorite shows, support your favorite podcasters, wear what we wear. Turnbucklestudios.org for all your Turnbuckle affiliation program needs.
And you can tell just by the image where we're going with 2011 here. We are talking now John Cena, CM Punk, the pipe bomb. First of all, John Cena was in the ring after having lost a tables match to R-Truth when that had happened. That pipe bomb and everything, the summer of Punk started because of John Cena.
Yes. And again, what a polarizing moment. A lot of people would say controversial, and at the time, absolutely it was. It was probably the biggest controversy since Survivor Series 97.
Yeah, do you remember the discussion of what Punk was going to do with the belt after he had left?
Yes. But what I remember is the following week, John Cena coming out saying, CM Punk's been suspended. And for what? He spoke his mind.
Mm-hmm.
He gave his thoughts. He shouldn't be suspended for that. That goes against every right that this country stands for. And John Cena fought to get CM Punk reinstated to be able to do this.
Yeah, and there were two men who were totally against this match happening. And that was one Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis, people power.
Yes.
But these guys at Money in the Bank 2011 put on, and I can't remember in how long, the first 5-star match that old Uncle Dave gave to the WWE.
Right?
And unfortunately, it did lead to John Cena losing the title that night, only to gain it back, like 2-3 weeks later, something like that, after defeating Rey Mysterio.
What happened was, yes, it was, he lost the title and Punk left because his contract was up and he was taking the title and going home.
Yeah.
I thought it was literally on the Monday because I know Vince McMahon wanted to fire John Cena.
Yes.
And that was when Triple H came out and told Vince, no, but you are being asked to step down from the board. So then they did organize, I believe it was a one-night tournament that did result in, yes, John Cena and Rey Mysterio in the finals. And right after, I believe John Cena had won the match, that was when we first heard Cult of Personality as CM Punk's theme.
Checking something here.
So yes, we heard Cult of Personality come out, and CM Punk and John Cena stood toe to toe, face to face, both of them holding their titles up to the other, both wanting to be recognized as champions. So then you had to go back and have one more match to determine which one was the legitimate champion. And I remember being so excited because I absolutely loved the song Cult of Personality because it comes from my favorite decade of music in the 80s.
Yeah. I thought that song came out in 92, but that's besides the point. I'm trying to double check here because I know that It did lead to another Punk and Cena match at SummerSlam 2011, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe so.
Let me just double check here because I'm having a little bit of a brain fart on it. Let's check here. Yes. Oh, yeah. Because this all led to CM Punk defeating John Cena and becoming the undisputed champion, because there was that argument over who the champion was, blah, blah, blah. Del Rio would cash in afterwards. And this was, I don't remember too much of what happened with John Cena post CM Punk, but let's rewind it back now to WrestleMania 27 and the night after, and what would lead to what I think was John Cena's biggest feud ever. We're talking about the man OMD loves, The Rock. This was something that when they promoted the match the night after WrestleMania 27, that I didn't think they were going to do, because I'm like, okay, did they say that this match was going to happen in passing? But no, here we are, WrestleMania 28, Rock and Cena, one of two in a lifetime, I'm going to say right now, because they called it once in a lifetime.
They did. But yes, this match came about. The Rock was the host of WrestleMania 27, and The Miz was defending the World Heavyweight Championship against John Cena, with The Miz retaining. And then, yes, The Rock came out the following night on Raw, and the challenge was laid out, so it was a once in a lifetime. And I would have been okay with that, but the verbal war between these two was something to behold. Now, for me, Cena was still amazing on the mic. This was where, for me, The Rock had lost a step. I had already lost a lot of respect for The Rock because of him leaving 5 years earlier. So I was really hoping that at WrestleMania, that Cena would just personally shut The Rock up, humble him, and send him on his merry way.
Yeah. Well, you didn't get that because they would go again, WrestleMania 29 the following year, in which they would put on another banger, this time for the WWE Championship. The Rock was successful in their first match, but then the following year, John Cena would get the win. So they are tied at one apiece. We're never going to see match number 3, obviously.
No.
But geez, yeah. Then we would go on, and like even John Cena had left after WrestleMania 29. As both men would go into Hollywood, John Cena's career was starting to take off, especially with movies like Bumblebee, Fast 9. I almost forgot which one of the movies he started in. His movie roles were just coming in left, right, and center, and it was just at this point where John Cena did have to leave the WWE for a little bit, but then he would come back in 2014 and have one of my favorite feuds of the year with Bray Wyatt.
Yes.
And just how haunting everything that those kids that came out and saying he's got the whole world in his hands, especially in that cage match. Loved it.
Yes, this was fantastic. And yes, this was when John Cena really began transitioning. And this is why I still have more respect for Cena and his far more organic transition to Hollywood than I do for The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Because John Cena, much like Hulk Hogan in the 80s and early 90s, would go and do his movie, come back. It'd be a year or two, go and do a movie, come back. And I was okay with it because it was just more organic for me, more of a transitional phase.
Mm-hmm. But let's get
But
right on. Let's go right on to 2016, or not 2016. We're gonna go right on up to John Cena's 16th title win by defeating AJ Styles. This was something I never thought we were going to see.
right,
I never thought we were going to see Ric Flair's title record be tied, much less broken like we did earlier this year.
right.
This match, I'm trying to remember where it was now. I looked it. And I'm the one who looked it up. John Cena.
I want to say it was.
It was at the Royal Rumble.
Okay. Yeah.
2017. So we're at 2017 right now with where he won the title here. Just this, I actually cheered John Cena when he won the title here. I was disappointed at the same time that he tied my favorite wrestler, Ric Flair's record, but
See,
I mean,
I can't say I was disappointed that he tied the record.
mm-hmm.
What I was disappointed was that I thought there were others who were better in the ring that should have been the guys to break it, and including disciples of Ric Flair's, guys like a Triple H,
Mm-hmm.
guys like a Randy Orton, who I thought deserved it more.
Right.
But, I mean, that record then stood tied for a very, very long time.
Yeah. It stood tied for a very long time until earlier this year when John Cena broke the record. And we would see like hints of John Cena throughout 2020, barely wrestle. Like his movie career started to explode around this time. So his matches became very, very short, very, very minimal. But there is one match that I quickly want to talk about. And it's this one. Another match with Bray Wyatt. Here's one thing I thought about with this match at first. Okay. I thought it was stupid at first.
Right.
I hated it at first. However, within the last month or so, I've gone back and rewatched the match, and I love it now.
You know what?
And I find it so funny.
I love the match. What I really thought was where I didn't like how they did it was that year that John Cena said, I'm giving up my spot at WrestleMania. It is time for somebody else. I don't want to take a spot from one of these young up-and-comers.
But the
Full
pandemic
credit.
happened.
Yes. But he even still came out and he had said, I don't want to take a spot from one of these up-and-comers.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was making his way back up the ramp on SmackDown, the Fiend appeared behind him.
Yeah.
And then John Cena still did just the nod and said, yep, I'll see you at Mania. But yes, the Firefly Funhouse match happened as a result of the pandemic instead of a one-on-one between John Cena and the Fiend.
And we still got the Fiend in this Firefly Funhouse matchup, by the way.
We did. This was WWE's true first foray into a cinematic match.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely loved it. I was not a big fan of the Hardys cinematic matches like Final Deletion or anything like that from TNA. This one, I think that WWE, they got it right. And they were only able to go and build on that in the future.
Yeah. We're running short on time here, so why don't we move right in and talk John Cena and his movie career and just how that has affected him. as well. Like we already mentioned, like him taking roles in Bumblebee. We talked about him taking the role in Fast 9. Now he's got Peacemaker. I mean, this dude has just exploded onto the Hollywood scene. And we talked about The Rock being nominated for a Golden Globe. It wouldn't surprise me if we see John Cena being mentioned. John Cena is also one of the first wrestlers to have appeared at the Grammy Awards to help present an award.
Yes.
Or I mean, the Grammys, the Oscars.
Yes. And John Cena's movie career, and I mean, I have not seen a lot of his movies. Yes, you're going to hear this right. I have seen Bumblebee in its entirety.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, I am not a movie guy. I have a very difficult time staying awake. Where I appreciate what John Cena is doing is that even though he is putting out movies consistently, it's not just John Cena movie, John Cena movie, John Cena movie. And the same can be said for The Rock. I will give The Rock his due. He's not just trying to pump out movie after movie after movie and have three in a year. And I mean, again, personally, I think John Cena picks up the different roles, not just action, but comedy, drama, and he does it all so well.
Now, this is where I'm going to ask you. I know you're not the movie guy, but I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite John Cena movie?
Oh, that is a very, very tricky one because I haven't watched all of them. But I'm going to go back to one of his early ones. And I am going to say 12 Rounds.
I'm going to say The Marine. I actually really liked The Marine. I've gone back and watched that movie. Like, I think I had it on my PSP, the little UMD discs that came with the PSP.
Right.
I had it on there. I had it on DVD. I had it downloaded to my Apple iPod.
Right.
I could not escape the movie, basically. That's how much I liked it.
Let's not forget that before The Marine, there was one other movie he appeared in.
Yeah, and he appeared.
Scott Conn, David Arquette, and a host of WCW.
Yeah, and he appeared in the background of this movie, and that is Ready to Rumble. And I don't consider, because he appeared as a background actor, I don't consider it necessarily a John Cena movie. But The Marine was one of my favorite ones, and the over-the-top action with the guy who played T-1000, Robert Patrick, as the main heel.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Patrick is gold, regardless of what he does, in my personal opinion. John Cena acting against a Hollywood heavyweight in a guy like Robert Patrick just proved that there is something there with John Cena and him being an actor. And he scraped and struggled and took all like these movies that were not exactly like, people weren't clamoring to watch them, but they were going to watch them because John Cena was in them regardless. Right. But now we're getting to that point with John Cena where he could very well be the next top action star. I mean, right now, for a while, The Rock was the top action star. For a while, Batista was the top action star. John Cena could very well end up being that guy. But like you said, he takes on a lot of comedy. He takes on a lot of drama. He very well could be that action star that ends up more like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, who did a lot of that kind of stuff too.
See, and I'm going to go like Arnold did do a lot of that, but there's one guy who is predominantly as well known as an action star, but is very, very versatile. And I could see John Cena becoming the next Bruce Willis.
Okay, so we're going to send John Cena to an asteroid, and he's going to destroy the asteroid by himself.
Yes.
Cool. Armageddon 2, folks. Make it happen.
There we go.
No, but I am 100% looking forward to the future of John Cena and what he does outside of the WWE. I mean, this guy, I mean, 1 hour just isn't enough time to even talk about everything John Cena has done.
No.
But
And I mean, we touched on a couple of the things that he's added now last week here on Turnbuckle Talk, signing that 5-year ambassadorial deal, showing up at Bailey's training seminar for
mhm.
young up and coming female wrestlers, showing up and staying for 8 hours, watching matches and sitting down with each of those young women. You talk about the credibility that this man puts into everything he
Yeah.
does. And Make-A-Wish. The guy who has granted more wishes to Make-A-Wish kids than anybody.
Oh yeah, 100%. This guy was, I mean, it just amazes me the amount of stuff he's done. Even like, going back to his Hollywood career, he even did reality TV for a time in Total Bellas.
Yep.
I mean, granted, he was kind of a villain on that show, not gonna lie. I did watch a little bit of it. He was a villain.
Right. Speaking of John Cena's villainy, I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on the fact that I was there this year as part of his farewell tour for the heel turn.
Yeah, and well, you guys saw on the PLE patrol, the reaction that I gave was just OMG. That look on his face, and now I think it's an overused spot because it's been done many times this year.
Yep.
I loved it. Love that look on his face. And to everybody out there who did not like his heel run, I enjoyed it. I loved everything about it. It made me look forward to seeing what John Cena was going to do when he came back. Because he would leave for a month or so and then come back, whatever.
Yep. But in that situation, John Cena was doing exactly what I like with that title. What Brock Lesnar did with it as a part-timer. What Roman Reigns was doing it during his 4-year run, and making that title an attraction as opposed to being there each and every week.
Yeah. But on that note, guys, we have reached that 1 hour mark. And all we can say right now is thank you so much to you, John Cena. Thank you for the 25 years that you have given us. Thank you for putting your body on the line every night. And we here at Turnbuckle Talk, Turnbuckle Studios, the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, wish you well in all your future endeavors. That's right. I'm future endeavoring you, John Cena.
There we go.
OMD, my man, where can the people look for you?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find me, I'm under the host section at turnbucklestudios.org, or you can find me at my link tree, linktr.ee/OMD show.
Yeah, and if you guys want to find me at my link tree, linktr.ee/Chris_best83. OMD, what are those words we like to go out on?
Ladies and gentlemen, always remember, the world is better with you in it. From all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, to those of you out there wherever you are, good night, good luck, we out.
Flagship show setting the tone. In the world of wrestling we stand alone. With news and reviews we lead the way. Turnbuckle Talk every day. Turnbuckle Talk every day.